Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. Today is the 31st of December. Many of you are making party plans, but because of the COVID scare, many of you probably are also sitting at home. And we have today Professor R Vaidyanathan. He is going to give us a slightly different look at how India should be looking at China and also Russia. Just to set the context here, officially or unofficially, I have said that India should have no truck with China, and so also US should be much more stronger against China than what it is. This is just my personal opinion, of course, but it is the view of P Gurus to bring forth all viewpoints so that you, the viewer, can make an informed decision. And please look at this conversation in that light. So, without further ado, let me welcome Professor RV to our channel. Namaskaram, sir. Welcome to P Guru's channel.
Namaskaram. It is always a delight, as I mentioned, to be in the PGurus channel because the knowledge is extremely knowledgeable, the audience, as well as the type of comments they give and other thing. And we are, of course, signing off the year 2021. Hopefully, 22 brings in different type of atmosphere and different type of future. So that is the thing. And let us sign it off with a sort of a contrarian viewpoint or whatever you call it, alternate viewpoint. India, it's
Yes.
a very peculiar country. Ayurveda is considered as alternate medicine. She's the original medicine actually. So being friendly with neighbor has become alternate in India. And and anyhow, it's a light-hearted way I'm telling that. Let us look at it and there is of course already I've got a lot of SMS and mails and other thing telling me China is not this, China is not that, another thing. That's all cut and paste from New York Times or Washington Post or whatever it is. I'm not very concerned about it. There's a very only one minor interesting thing is when they write so rubbish about India, we don't accept it. We throw it out. And recently also New York Times have a sort of a first page report on about Christianity, Christians being oppressed, suppressed, and depressed in India, and all that thing. And of course, we don't accept it. But when it comes to another country, we immediately feel they are telling the correct thing, another thing. Anyhow, first and foremost, we have a very long border, 3,500 kilometer, longest border with China. And for the last 2000 years, roughly, you can easily say, or maybe plus minus, we never had any war with China. There is no kingdom of China which invaded India or anything like that, or definitely not vice versa. But Hushi was their ambassador to US in late 1930s. The talk in Harvard, actually, that was the time in which the Second World War was sort of
Brewing.
expected and everything. But he mentioned very nicely, India is one country. India is occupied China without firing a single bullet. What he meant is India culturally conquered China. Later on, of course, within China, he was arguing that we should shred this Indian influence and other thing. That's a different issue because he was feeling that because of the Indian influence, China is becoming more quote unquote docile or non-violent, another thing, and we should adopt our own. He was ambassador to US. Later on, he also became the vice chancellor of the Peking University in US, in China. Very knowledgeable and renowned person. He was telling quite a large amount of literature, architecture related, medicine related, mathematics related, music related, were all taken from India by their ministers and ambassadors for a long period of time, who came by shipping route near Burma. And then that is one interesting thing he was mentioning. And when Shanke Sheikh actually left China, he had something like 13, 14 ships of shipload of material to Taiwan. And of that, you will be surprised to know six shiploads contained only Indian material. About what all our. If you go to Taiwan today, also there is on the top of a hill there is a large museum which contain a huge section of India actually, connected to Buddhist, connected to Pali, connected to Prakrit, connected to Sanskrit. Almost all the originals are kept there by the Taiwanese museum authorities. Had occasion to visit that actually. Incidentally, I visited China several times. First and foremost, we should realize one thing. Large number of elderly Chinese at least think that India is their elder brother. And some of them openly tell, they call India as Hindu only, Hindu. And they openly tell that we have to be born in India to reach heaven, because they associate India with Buddhist and cultural roots and other thing. This is something, and there is a, and let's not mistake this Communist Party and this China. First of all, China is no more communist or socialist. Let's be very clear. China is considered communist only in two three places. One is in the Ganga Daba outside JNU, Jawaharlal Nehru University, where the early morning these Nakshal supporters sit and discuss. They think China is they are still to 40-50 years behind. Another is in some of the smaller locations in Kerala, where still people think China is socialist or something. And the third is this Tamil TV channel discussion. Some of them seriously think China is a, anyhow. Nobody believes China is. China itself doesn't claim to be any more socialist or communist. This is it's a market-driven economy. It's a very vibrant market-driven economy. They have given it up around the 70s, when Deng Xiaoping openly told it doesn't matter whether the cat is black or white, as long as it catches the mice. So ultimate objective is more important than the process and other thing. And even Mao is forgotten there. Forget about socialism or anything. So that's, China is a market economy. Let's be very clear about it. China is not democratic in the sense in which we understand. We understand, mean in India we say we are democratic, and sometimes we also want to be a wholesale dealers of democracy, export democracy all over the world. Nobody bothers actually. We have democracy in the sense, except BJP and Communist and some small regional parties. All of them are family owned parties in India. Used to call it F20 actually. And these family owned parties use caste or religion or various combinations to come to power, and their only objective is to make money. And this is what, and if you want China to have an identically similar democracy, I don't think anybody is going to be very happy about it or anything. And so that is not the very, throughout the period, if you look back from the 50s to roughly Narasimha Rao period, 90s, we were always self-righteous. We took upon our head to be the moral moralizing people for the whole world and other thing. Nobody bothered about us. Let's be very clear about it. We used to, Madagascar something happened, we used to make a comment. In Uruguay something happened, our foreign ministry was very active. And and all this thing is what you call the Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam Vadapava, I call it. It doesn't work actually. India is not taken seriously. Let's be very clear about it. We opposed Israel in almost all the voting in UN. What did we gain out of it? You tell me. One single resolution by YIC wasn't. Never even supported our stand on any of these Kashmir and other issues. And John Bolton, when he was in the UN representative, openly told India used to get funds from IMF, World Bank, US, and all the thing. 92% of the cases, India is to vote against US resolutions in UN. So we were just, we were what, of course, I shouldn't use the word. Dean Rusk used to say self righteous, big B he used to use. I don't want to fill it up actually. So this is not a type of a thing which is going to, we should be very careful about our own interest, our own what one can call future. Second point is China containment. This is something amusing. Why should we bother to contain China? You tell me one good reason. The only point again and again people are telling is China is occupying this, China is occupying that, another thing. They are showing in the map that this, what is that called? Arunachal. We can also show in our map that Shanghai and Beijing belong to India. What is there? Map you can always show. The issue is only the land. And that also something going back to Aksai chain occupation during the Nehru time, another thing, which we have to talk. And a whole Huge landmass of India is occupied by Pakistan, according to us. Pak occupied Kashmir, we say correctly. And we are having dialogue with the Pakistan. We never declared Pakistan as a terrorist state. Incidentally, every day 4 or 5 people they send it to Jammu and Kashmir to create problem. And the democracy all forget about, because Saudi Arabia we are having good relation. If you can have good relation with Saudi Arabia, which is the quote unquote the major democratic country in this part of the world, you can have relation with anybody. China's position, let us understand, is simply they are, believe me, take my word, end of 2021, and for the next 5 6 years, I may or may not be around, but they are the single superpower today. SSP. West is on decline, substantial decline. Let me make it very, very clear. They are the single superpower. They have, according to me, many people laugh at this. They have the bio weapon. They can unleash it anytime, wherever they want. And kindly note, none of these countries in Europe or US has so far condemned China for this Wuhan virus. They all, they are even, they didn't even allow this team. They had a conducted tour of this lab. Something like in Tirupati, you go, they say Jaraganti, Jaraganti, and throw it out. And you, before you look at Lord Venkateshwara, you are put out of the scene. You have been waiting for the whole life to have the same way. When the scientists went to Wuhan lab, they were told, move, 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 move out. And nobody knows whether it is spread by animals, whether it is deliberately leaked, whether it is unintentionally leaked, all hypotheses. And according to me, this WHO, which is Wuhan Health Organization, also called the World Health Organization, China has a complete grip over the situation. Europe will never ever. Europe, one French colleague of mine told Europe leaders to wet their pant whenever China name is mentioned. So there is no, they have lost the will to fight. Average Belgian, age is something like 43 of the Belgian soldiers. Average age, and their waist size also 43. Where will they fight? Nobody will fight. They all go to beaches, pubs, musical festivals, and they want to enjoy their life. That's all. If at all somebody will fight, that is US, and they will fight according to their own what one can call agenda, and they lie. Never accept the proposition that white man doesn't lie. That's a wrong thing. That's a totally wrong thing. White man always lies. They told Iraq has got a huge amount of chemical weapon. Finally, what? Not even one jar of hydrochloric acid they found there. Nothing. Yes, they created chaos there. So when it is a declining power, the West, the white man, he is wanting to contain China. And what is happening? He wants to use Indian shoulders. And we have all this, Quad. I don't understand how can we become a member of Quad. Throughout the Cold War period between US and Russia, we were non-aligned. It was, according to me, it was a very sensible thing. Even though we were more aligned towards Russia, but on paper at least we never joined any CENTOG into another thing like Pakistan. So now suddenly what we want to contain, I don't understand why should we contain China? What's our interest in that? India and China, if you ask me, are natural allies, civilizationally, culturally. China is one country which handles political Christianity and political Islam in an excellent way. So we should remember that among 5 religions recognized, Hinduism is not one of them in China. I have been writing letters for the last 10 years to the Ministry of External Affairs and our Chinese embassy fellows. Let me be very blunt. They use gallons of wine and gallons of mautai. I don't understand at all. We should tell China that Hinduism should also be accepted as a religion. When Sri Sri went and set up his this AOL, so much amount of enthusiasm was there. We should have something like 500 AOLs, 700 Baba Ramdev, and some hundreds of Amachi centers in China. We do not know anything about China. Let me be very blunt about it. We have all the handouts given by the Pentagon and this State Department, and all these news items in WAPO and this Financial Time, which is as per their requirement. We believe it actually. Like recently, this Al Jazeera channel is carrying on against India, and it is being picked up by the Western media also, which we don't accept. But when it comes to other countries, we immediately jump. We don't have, according to me, even 100 fellows who knows Mandarin. China has got some 16, 17 centers to study India. How many centers are there in India to study China? You tell me. One in JNU, maybe. That's all, or one or two other. I'm not so sure about it. They understand our fault lines very clearly. We are an open society. We are democratic. Our fault lines are known. We dance without any clothes permanently. Recently, Prime Minister got a car which is supposed to help him in terms of protecting him from the what one can call terrorist and other thing. Every detail of the car has come out, telling the terrorist how you should attack in a sense. So our fault lines are plenty. Caste, religion, region, everything is known. What do we know about Chinese fault lines? Can anyone give me one single paper? I have been searching so long about the fault lines in China. When nearly 1 crore people were displaced and more than a million died in that Three Gorges dam thing, we kept quiet. Whereas one lady, along with other foreign funded NGOs, Medapedkar, stopped our Narmada project for 10 years. So China can exploit our fault lines. Let's be very, very clear about it. Or they may not exploit. We don't even know about their fault line. From 50s, AAR used to have a second man to the Beijing radio station for a Tamil channel. AAR, I don't think, knows what they were doing, what propaganda they were doing. God only knows. They have so many people speaking Tamil in Beijing. They're very thorough and meticulous. They have done there. We have not done any homework on China. All our discussion about China is feeling based. One fellow says they are all yellow. Agreed, they are yellow. What is the wrong about it? And somebody else say there. So we don't have a. We must create 500 centers of learning of China. Of that, 200 at least should teach Mandarin. Unless we should do a thorough study of China before we begin to jump. And a lot of people have emotion. I don't understand at all what can be emotion about it. Another. So Russia is now trying to bring together India and China as a Russia, India, China. RIC. It's the most sensible thing. Russia should be there because they have always been good friends to us, including the Bangladesh war. But for their agreement signed and other thing, the US noise would have been much better and much more. Let's be very clear about it. And China is a huge economy today. China and US together constitute 42% of the global GDP. China alone is 17%. So let's be very clear about it. In manufacturing, they are number one in the world. On purchasing power parity basis, if you take, they are number one. Then number two is US. Number three is India. Number four is Japan. This is the ranking of countries on PPP based GDP. And China's nominal GDP is around 17, what you call trillion. I think it will cross US in the next 3-4 years. There is. If you go back in time, 1945, US did nuclear bombing of Japan. Practically after the war was over, and they did the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. May 45 itself, German has surrendered, and Japan was supposed to surrender, but before that they went and go and bombed. actually. Kindly remember one important thing: US didn't bomb Germany, US didn't bomb Italy. They wanted to check whether their nuclear weapons are working. They bombed Japan. That is the non white man. The white man's world is under threat. Underline it, red ink 40 50 times. Very important. White man's world is in threat. And white man is in jittery. He doesn't know how to deal with it. It's an Asian century, it used to be told, 21st century. It's a century of China and India. And India is foolishly trying to tag along with this white people whose civilization is coming to an end. Let's be very clear. It is civilizational based states which are of future, not based upon any communism, capitalism, socialism, and all these isms and others. They are all gone. And do not think that the white man's solution is the final solution. This is the problem with us in India. We are genetically tied to the West. Let me tell it very clearly. Our umbilical cords are tied to the West. We always talk about look east, but our face is turned to the West. The reason is simple, sir. Every second bureaucrat children are in US. His dream after retirement is to settle in US or UK. Or his sister-in-law, mother-in-law, father-in-law, all of these fellows are in US. So they're thinking not only bureaucrat, politician, judges, any of these fellows. They're all there, some that university, this university, some Long Island, short mountain, tall mountain. Hundreds of these are going around in US. Plenty of them. Phoenix University, that which trains them 10,000 people. All nobody cares. US, are you US educated? Very important. And same thing with England. So our genetically we are tied to the West. This is something very, very important. That umbilical cord cutting is not going to be easy. So whatever I shout or anything, the decline of the West, when it is full, then only we will realize that we are in the wrong ship or wrong boat. Otherwise, we are not going to. And all this, everybody will say, what is decline of the West? This company is doing well, that company is doing well, right? What are they do? No company in US is very big company worried about sovereignty of US. They don't pay any taxes in US even. This your Amazons and your Microsoft, and they are all in various tax havens actually. And US is trying to bring some regulation to them. So don't confuse corporates with US. Same thing about Japan. Japanese corporates are doing extremely well outside because the market is very large outside. But Japan as a society is in deep problem actually, demographically, because of the aging population. They have to manage actually. Not only that, their debt, sovereign debt itself is phenomenally high. So let's not go about this problem of what one can call this corporates in the country. West is under decline unless and until we internalize this, we are not going anywhere. One. Second is, we are not the global, what one can call wholesale dealers for democracy. All let's not. Each country have their own system. Why Afghanistan has got one system now, which sooner or later, I am telling Europe and US will go and do business there as long as there is a business. So don't take their words. What Iraq they went, what did they do? Nothing. It's a chaos. Iraq is in chaos. So wherever the West puts its hand, it's in chaos. Last 200 years, some people are telling, oh, we should not have any discussion with China. And Britain has ruled India for 150 years, more than around that, right? 45 trillion US dollar they have looted from India. It has been established. In today's value, it will be 70 trillion US dollar. They have done this, huge amount of massacres in various parts, including the grand one which was done in Punjab. But we are, very happy. Bo Johnson is our hero actually. Any third-rate university in Britain, if admission get, we will jump and go. So with the UK, if you can have relationship after all what has happened, after Jallianwala Bagh and after so many things, there is absolutely no reason why we shouldn't have good relation with China. We must negotiate. I am not telling, don't give even 1 inch of territory. I don't think they also want it. And we should sit and discuss it with them. There is absolutely nothing wrong about it in discussing with them. Kindly note, with Pakistan, we have LOC, Lion of Control. With China, we don't have LOC. We have LAC, Lion of Actual Control, which mean in loose common man's term, the border is not demarcated yet between India and China. That's something which most people forget or most people don't want to talk about. So, he telling that you have occupied, you telling he has occupied are all. So, we should demarcate the border. And that's the only major issue between us. What is that? We are still a huge trading partner. Many people may not even know about it with China. We import a huge amount. Last 8 months figure with China is we have done something like 43 billion import from China, and we have exported 13 billion. We have some critical, believe me, nuclear reactor components we have imported from China. So there is, and US and China is another story. Very huge amount of trade is taking place between them. So jumping because somebody else is telling this or that is not a very desirable. India should take care of India's interest. Let's be very clear. And that is the Asian century. We should play a very important role. We cannot be antagonistic to China. And their ability to play with the fault line is much higher. For instance, Maldives agitation is going on. India should get out, instigated partly by Chinese. Then Sri Lanka, every day there is a discussion. Small island, Solomon Island near Australia, they had a huge amount of anti-China protest and other thing instigated by Taiwan. We don't, we simply don't have any knowledge about the fault lines of China at all. We just gone, and let me be very blunt. This bureaucratic, dealing with China, our ambassadors in China, I don't know what they have been doing at all. Right? We should, let me rephrase it, culturally reconquer China. Very important. We should print millions of this Anand Pai's, Mahabharat, Ramayana, and other cartoon and other work in Mandarin and distribute it free in China among the youth. You see, the society's idea should be captured. We shouldn't try to deal with only Z. Z is one part of the story. There is a huge component of the society which is extremely, I'm telling you, believe me, friendly with India. One example I will give. Recently, in their thousand, what one, people's army, they have got, they have a website where they published, the and, dead bodies are being shown in Ganges. This was published in their website. And you know one thing, which also came in their own media, in Weibo, their local Twitter, huge amount of criticism about it by common people, telling that India is our neighbor, India is our elder brother. This was the word used there, actually. And why unnecessarily put this in your website? And they removed it, actually. So, large number of commoners are having a good view about India, which we should exploit, actually, which we should take note of, and which we should try to get into. This is the most important thing. First is get Hinduism recognized. Second is encourage all our, they are now allowing actually AOLs and Baba Ramdevs and Amachis and so many. I am not naming it. All of them to go to China, flood China with our influence their society. Yeah.
you to take a sip of water while I make a request for people to like, follow, and subscribe to our channel. Viewers, we're going to turn a new leaf. The Earth makes one more go around the sun, and it starts again. It starts from where it left off. And we would like to make a difference. We are trying to sharpen some of our objectives to try and be where we want to be. And we've been making some steps towards that. You might have seen this thing from the programming that we are trying to do. Right now, the Sanatanis are under siege. That's the only way I can say. What you are saying seeing in the name of Islamophobia is actually Hindu phobia, done by our great neighbor who has Charitrahin. They can't accept that their mothers from whose wombs they have come were actually Hindus. And this is one of the most despicable quality about our great neighbor on the west. But be it as may, somewhere, sometime, this ego shall be shattered. They will become four parts. After that, they will all align towards India. But we have to wait and see when to strike. But in the meantime, I just wanted Professor Avi to get a break because he was talking nonstop, and hopefully he has got his uh, parched throat better now. Professor Avi, back to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks a lot. And because you are talking about the political Islam, China is one of the few countries which is handling it very interestingly, excellently, actually. They have officially told that political Islam is a mental problem, and they have to be reformed. And none of these, so-called OAC countries or others have even talked about it. See, when you are economically very powerful, when you are on the ascendancy, others keep quiet. Very important point. And let me repeat, what are the position of US in 47 to 51 is going to be the position of China between 22 to 26. And after 26, 27, they will be recognized as a global power. There is no other way. Until and unless somebody has an alternative created in terms of this bioweapon, in which case it will become mutual deterrence. Like Russia, made that nuclear weapon. Then, so between Russia and US, there was a Cold War for a long period of time. We never, unfortunately, we never got fully entangled in that or anything like that in any of these. Same way, we should not get entangled between this declining West and China. They let me be very blunt. They hate these Asians coming up. White cannot stand yellow role in the world. Of course, they can never stand the brown role. That is a separate issue, and black role is ruled out totally. So this is the position. Civilization based societies like India and China should cooperate with each other, should work with each other, and be proud of each other. There is absolutely nothing wrong about our. We have got a huge amount of linkages. We have got a past relationship. We have got 62 was an aberration, and according to me, this Galvan is also an aberration. It's not a norm actually between the, and let us not think China is only the Communist Party. No, there is a huge mass of people in China, just like in India, right? Huge mass of people who have a good, what one can call belief about India. I have traveled nowadays. They have opened up. Many places you see Vishnu statues, huge Vishnu statues, not small ones or anything. Buddhas, as well as Vishnu in a reclining position and other thing. And people visit them, and of course, it's not like a temple or anything. It's more a place which is, and some people burn agarbattis and other thing there actually in China. It's not, the much of the writing of China by all this, the white media just don't believe it or anything, right? So there is going to be a single superpower. So we have to take a clear cut understanding. Are we going to be, falling into the paths of these, the Western nation? Remember, the British commander told toward the middle of the Second World War, will you win the war? You know what he told? He seems to have told that we will fight the Germans to the last Indian. We will fight the Germans to the last Indian. Remember that quote. And the second point is, we are a great power in software. They are a very great power in hardware. So if we combine, nothing can touch us in the world. Third point is, all those who want to settle in US with green card, all the bureaucrats, all the judges, all the political leaders with their grandchildren, other, let them do it, but let them not be today advising the government on China policy, because as long as our foreign policy is dictated from Washington and our economic policy is dictated from New York, we are going nowhere. Let me tell you, the power of the big four in Indian economy is so much, and the power now of all these FIIs and other, we are all talking about unicorn, unicorn, and everybody all these people want valuation and sell it off to the best buyer from abroad. That's all. And a huge amount of pension funds and other thing are desperate because they have to meet the obligation of elderly population and get a good return also. So because of the major thing which is happening. And Rajiv is telling that China was never our neighbor, but Tibet. Yeah, okay, you take Tibet as neighbor. What is wrong about it actually? And immediately people will say Tibet is an independent country. And, it's like having this Pak occupied Kashmir on that side, and but we are continuing our relationship with Pakistan. Absolutely no difficulty or so. The purpose or aim of us is to needle China. It will not take us anywhere. We will spend, we have already, I think you will recognize, huge amount of money is being spent in maintaining our army on the forefront. We should debate, we should discuss, and they are very good in discussing for 8 hours, 9 hours. They're long talkers. We used to have one Swaran Singh actually, if I remember. Bhutto once told that don't send Swaran Singh, otherwise we are fine, because he speaks for 8 hours and at the end of it, we don't realize anything which has happened. He's one of the greatest. So I am sure in India there are plenty of people like that who can discuss, who can be sent, who will speak with the Chinese for something like 8 hours, 9 hours, and nothing may come out of it, but at least there will be a peace balance in terms of talks. I'm sure there will be many Swaran Singhs available in the North Block and the South Block and various blocks. Between the North Block and South Block, India's progress is blocked. That was told by our friend, what one can call Nani Palkiwala. Anyhow, so West is, let me summarize quickly. West is on the decline. Let's be first important thing. West is between in ICU. Okay, I won't say it is going to mortuary. It is an ICU. West is on decline. China is an increasingly great power, superpower, single superpower. In another 4 years, it will be declared. I'm telling. There is absolutely no other way it is going to be different. Right. That's a third is Russia will be. Russia is traditionally very helpful to India, and Russia will be a, because Russia treats China as a brother and India as a friend. So it will be a balancing factor, and you will be able to get many things from China uh, through Russia. That's the reason I am talking about Rick. We should come out of Quad. Let me be very clear. We should tell these white people we are not going to carry your burden. We are not anymore going to be a, white man is not going to be our burden. And so you are not going to be our burden anymore. And somebody says, why Nehru's Hindi Chini bye bye failed? And, all these questions cannot go on be asking, because we should be very very clear that we are not in the containment game of China. Once we are clear on that, China will be very happy about it actually, because it has a huge neighbor in the south. It cannot afford to permanently be antagonistic. It has got other type of opponents which it has to deal with. Its major opponents will be the West and the US. And let me again and again tell, white man is trying to aim China, keeping his gun on our shoulders. I don't think we should give our shoulders at all. Our shoulders are meant for carrying the Sriman Narayana or Sri Ranganatha's Pallak, what you call that, which is taken in the procession. That is for our shoulders are meant, not for the AK-47 of the Western countries. That is what my view is. And obviously many people will, I'm known for telling contrarian views, so there is nothing new about it. And second is, as two things I will tell. Rajaji used to say, stick to your view. There is no, somebody is asking about BRICS. Where is BRICS? Russia is not active in that. And I don't know what happened to South Africa with all its internal turmoil. And Brazil, maybe searching for it actually. They're all just acronym. That's all, which is, and so that is the Rajaji used to sell. If you have some views, express it. If the data changes your views, that is different. Otherwise, due to public pressure or somebody is telling this, oh, this is, don't. So that is the point. Second is, Swami Vivekananda told very nicely. So this is the, what are the interesting thing was, somebody asked him about the thoughts. He says, even if you sit inside a deep cave and have some good thoughts to yourself inside the cave, it will permeate and it will spread, and slowly it will become the accepted norm. I only hope we understand what is happening on a global level. I again hope that we are not misled by these mandarins from this New York, what one can call Washington basis people, because they still, because they want to, their ultimate aim is to settle in US or in UK. And anyhow, UK will become Islamic country. So anyhow, so they may want to settle in US perhaps, but things are different, and it is important is that we understand our interest, Indian interest. This is the most important thing, and our interests are civilizationally and culturally. We have umbilical cord with China, not with anybody else, civilizationally and culturally. And these are the two things which will decide the future of the world in terms of countries, not your capitalism, communism, market economy, cryptocurrency, and all these things. Civilization and culture are root cause of our redesigning of the world situation. This is what I would suggest. We are extremely recognized software power. They are extremely recognized hardware power. If we combine, we can do miracle in blockchains and AI and so many other things. So I would thank immensely the PGurus for giving, what is it called, alternate. According to me, this shouldn't be considered as alternate viewpoint. Anyhow, it's all right. Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Professor RV. Just to summarize what Professor RV said, he's actually a doctor, but he doesn't like to call himself a doctor. Very modest man. But he has a PhD, by the way. And so the most important thing that Professor RV is saying is that you have to differentiate between CCP and China. As a country, China is culturally aligned with India. I think many in the West also agree with this viewpoint. I'm just saying this to set the context here. Last count, there are about 80 million Buddhists who go under the name of Falun Gong. Most of them have gone underground for fear of reprisals from the CCP. Likewise, there are about 10%. China is now Christian. It's also an underground church. Nobody knows where it operates. It's not very powerful. So that's another thing. And China is trying to, CCP that is trying to Hanify the entire country. They've been forcing Uyghur men in labor camps. They've also been harvesting their organs. They've been forcing Han soldiers to go stay there, and their goal is to try and impregnate them and bring the Han culture, even in Xinjiang. So the same thing has been tried in most parts of Tibet also. These are all things we hear only from those who actually escape from China and come and tell us. However, it is my point, my view that this CCP, this current regime, is going to break up at some point of time, and you will start seeing a lot more truths come out of China. And to know a little bit more about what has been happening in the recent past, there is a hangout with Elmer Yuan at 9:30 IST. I know it is even closer to the 12 o'clock, and many of us drink to the arrival of the new year. Many of us probably are watching it from home. So instead of seeing one ball descend, you may want to listen to Elmer Yuan on what is happening in China, this recent attempt by the Chinese central bank to print notes, two notes with the same serial number. I find it very interesting. If they can print two notes, they could have printed with different serial numbers. Why same serial number? So we're going to get all these questions answered when Elmer comes online. So if there are any questions, I'd like to have Professor RV take a shot at them. Can we have some questions, please? Here we go. MD Ravikant, should Defense Ministry and External Affairs Ministry be filled with subject experts at senior positions through lateral entry rather than civil servants? What prevents Modi ji from doing this reform?
No, no, I don't think it is either or type of thing. Where there are some civil servants who are extremely knowledgeable. Let's be very clear about it. Civil servants are not all of them are of the Dumbo variety or anything. Quite a number of them are very well read, and I have interacted with some of them also. So it should be, I would say, a blend. We can have lateral entries, or and sometimes lateral entries can also be big flop. It doesn't mean we have some people in economic ministries lateral entries which has not worked out well. So I think it's not a question of this or that. It's like whether PSU is better than private. One can call many PSUs which are doing extremely well. One can also point out private companies which are doing very badly. The point is, a mix should be there. I would say definitely in terms of the outcomes.
Next question, please. Vishwas Indraganti, why should China not be considered a declining power, be it their society or their economy? None of them are expanding.
Anyhow, you are the only one who is talking about China being a declining power, except you are something like 30 years, ahead in the sense. They may be a declining power around 2050, not today. Definitely not. Okay.
Sharma Gedon, should India openly ally itself with the United States?
What else is doing today? India is a big ally of the US. Everybody knows our economic policy is decided in New York. Our foreign policy is decided in Washington. What more you want? We are a member of Quad, which is not called for, and because almost I tell you, our umbilical cords are tied to US. Almost every second Indian in good position in India has got some unmarried mother. Unmarried mother-in-law is not a good term. Unmarried sister-in-law, or their son or grandson and other things settled in US. What we are, we are, we are aligned. We very sad actually. Yeah, Russia's oil gas
Mr.
production has peaked. Will continue to. You see, this oil gas is no more an issue with EV taking it by storm in both US and in what is that called, Europe. Not only that, there are a lot of areas in US where this solar and other type of wind type of productions are there. There are individual homes which produce their own electricity, and then sometime if there is surplus, they offer it to the local network. I'm sure once Ayer was mentioning to me that he himself has got some local produced, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
then
I have my
there is
own
a
solar panel and I source most of my requirements from my own solar panel, sir. Yes.
So this is not the Central Asia countries are critical due to oil gas are all old thinking. Gone. EV is the future.
Vignesh wants to know, Professor, if China blocks political Christianity and Islam, what makes you think they'll accept Hinduism?
Political Hinduism, they may not accept. That's okay. But as a religion, they allow Christianity and Islam now, actually, as a practicing another thing. Why can't we simply put an application form, recognize Hinduism? Why are we not doing it? What is our embassy people are doing there? I don't understand at all. Anyhow, we are a crazy
Next
country.
question, please. Mr. Lee wants to know, Arctic sea ice is on a decreasing trend. Commercial shipping through Arctic will make checkpoints such as Suez, Hormuz, Malacca redundant. Doesn't this make Russia the new growth story?
No, that is Russia cannot be any growth story. Let's be very clear about it. Today there are 100 Russians. Today is 22. That is tomorrow. Let us right. 5 years hence there will be only 85 Russians. Russia is severely demographically declining. So unless they and new entrants are not coming out, I don't think many Indians want to settle in Russia. That freezing cold and other thing. Anyhow, so that is the Russia's problem is severely demographic. Demographic. It doesn't know how to solve it. Just like Japanese problem, Japan is having the same type of a severe problem in demography. And soon in another 5 years, 40% of Japanese are going to be above 60. The others have to sustain them. Pension funds are scrambling in order to. So, of course, we will have a huge market in terms of investment. That's a separate story. So, this, I agree with you. The Arctic Sea is, again, the decreasing trend is being more propagated by that lady. What is her name? From Norway. That eighth fail, seventh pass, or seventh fail, eighth pass. One girl is going around and asking
Oh,
the world
Greta
to listen to
Thunberg.
her.
Greta
That is
Thunberg.
our Greta. Greta's thing is that ISIS, but it will take another 30, 40 years at least, according to me. And let's not too much carried away by all these eco-friendly groups and other things. No, according to me, Mother Earth knows how to take care of herself. Okay.
Next question, please. Arunachalam Vallinayagam. I would like to hear from Professor RV the most important economic policies to be implemented in the next 2 years. Can you please cite examples of how West dictates our economic policies?
The most important economic policies should be focusing on problem of inflation and unemployment. If you ask me, it's a very, very severe problem. Nobody seems to be talking about it, actually. And also, demand side, we have not done much. We should reduce the income tax rates and other things so that more purchasing power is there in the hands of people. That is our major. West dictate our economic policy. Can you cite example? I would ask the counter question. Give me examples where West has not dictated our economic policy. Every one of our policy is formulated by the big four and these all these what this Niti Aayog and the finance ministry and various groups. If you take, somebody told me, I do not know how much it is true. Roughly 40% is ex investment bankers employed there. Of all the various type of investment banking, and that is what their idea. It's not local friendly or MSME friendly or any of those things. It is dictated, and people will say Ambani, Adani are all according to me one side of the picture only. More critical is the global. Take China that way. China has their own Twitter, their own Facebook, their own WhatsApp. Technology wise, they are far away. We are adapters. We don't have our own Twitter. We don't have our own Facebook. We don't have our own WhatsApp. We don't have any of these things. You tell me one great invention done by India in the last 80 years. One
S- s-
which has been earth shaking. Huh? Except these political leaders giving Bhashan and other. Don't tell that as a great invention. That's not. Nothing. So we must Technologically, seriously, if you want, we should become self-reliant, which will take ages for us actually. One nothing. One, why can't we have our own Twitter? You tell me one good reason. Because the policy planners are not interested. Very recently, only we are thinking in terms of defense, we should be self reliant. Otherwise, there is a huge amount of middlemen. It's known as Chandigarh lobby. You might have heard about it actually. Who are interested in importing and all that. They always speak ill of domestic activity. So there is I would be surprised. I would be interested to know which policies are not formulated by the Western groups. Look at our economic advisors and all the fellows are from all these various, brown universities, black university of US and other thing, various Long Island, Tall Mountain, Shaw. Anything is okay as long as he is a white man. There is a talk given by a plumber from New York in India International Center on Indian economy, white plumber. There will be more crowd there than in the next room where an IAM professor is talking on our economy. And finally, if it is told, sir, this white man is a plumber, it doesn't matter, sir, he is white. It will take ages for you to understand what I am telling. Anyhow,
Badrinath wants to know, I request Professor RV to throw more light on the issue China Sri Lanka new gut bandhan.
so when you enter Quad, we have to be understanding that China will be more interested in creating this conclaves of problem for India. The Maldives problem, Solomon Island, they had this difficulties. Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, all this. You want to enter Quad, you want to contain China, huh? And you don't want China to do anything else for you. Come on, come out of Quad first. Openly say that we are not interested in containing. Why should we get into the aspect of containing China? If China is a bottle of water, we should be put in a container or what? Hare, they are our younger brother. They are doing very well technologically. They are advanced in the global picture. We should be happy about it. Anyhow, this mindset is not going to go away very easily. I can assure you on that.
Sanjit Bolina wants to know, Center for Business and Economic Research has published an economic forecast for
For 2036,
2036.
China at 55 trillion, US 43 trillion, India at 10.7 trillion. There is no view on this. This may be even earlier. I am only talking about 22 trillion of US, current US thing, China exceeding it in the very near future or anything. It's okay. It's expected actually. US is on a severe decline. Many people are not understanding that. Anyhow, let me not go on hampering that. And with the woke ideology becoming the main line in US, it is going to be on further problem actually. Only Biden is
Um,
telling here and there that we are back, we are back. I don't know, quarterback only in that in their what you call in their football. Not they call it football, right? Football,
yes, yes, yes,
not
yes.
soccer.
So
Soccer is European.
for the viewers who wonder why is American football called football, it's because the ball is a foot long. It's an oblong ball.
Correct.
It's not round. It's an
Very
oblong ball,
correct.
but it is a foot long. That's why it's
Yeah.
called
It
American
actually
football.
it is very similar to the other thing where you carry it and then put it. What is that called? Rugby. That
Rugby.
balls are
Yes,
similar, right? Very
very similar.
interesting.
Very similar.
Very
Yes,
similar.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Very
So,
nice explanation. Right.
now next question, please. Or are we done?
Anyway, I will tell a light-hearted thing. American football I visited when I was
Yeah.
there.
Mm.
It was more violence than football. Then my colleague told you, come and see. We will see ice hockey, Canadian ice
Mm.
hockey. Canadian ice hockey was nothing but, people wanting to kill each other. Nothing more or nothing less than that. And it is also considered as a sport. That's all right. Boxing is a sports and so. we are that way, we have the soft cricket and other thing, where the gap between the two individuals are relatively very, what you call, long. Anyhow, so thank you, Ayer. Anything else?
No, I think that's about sums it up. Viewers, stay safe, stay at home, be with your loved ones, enjoy the ushering of the new year. Stay at home again. Drink properly, drink responsibly, not in front of your children. So there is a golden age when the children are actually not approving of their parents drinking, but then when they grow up, well, we don't know what happens after that. But thanks once again, Professor RB. This is a different viewpoint, but I think many actually will agree with the professor that we need to look at the ruling dispensation in China separately from the country that is China. And there is a fair amount of love for India, affection for India, but that needs to come out. I too have visited some of the places that Professor Harvey mentioned in Taiwan. Very nice place. It's like an if China becomes a democracy, what would it look like? It would look like Taiwan. That's my take, 2 cents on it. Thank you once again, Professor. And viewers, do join us back in about an hour's time with Elmer Yuen, where we are going to talk about, the Central Bank of China printing currencies with duplicate serial numbers. One wonders why we would want to do that. And also about what its poodle North Korea does. It's another interesting story. Thank you once again, Professor Arvi. Namaskar.
Only two observation. Everybody is
Yeah.
talking about taxi drivers view of the world situation. I actually traveled once from near Shanghai somewhere to inside Shanghai in a taxi. That taxi driver was, he was not a Mandarin type. He was a, Shanghai type of a Chinese. Anyhow, he somehow communicated with me, and you are from India, and other thing he was telling. And at the end of it, it's not a big amount or anything, small amount. He didn't collect the fare from me. He says, "You are a Hindu, I won't." He did namaste, and I was surprised actually, because I thought dollar will be very. Dollar was the currency I was having. So since everybody tells nowadays about taxi driver experience, my experience has been extremely positive, right? The second is, I would like to wish you and PGurus extremely well for the coming year, and let 22 be a game changer. And by the end of 22, you should consolidate your activity to create a TV channel, and
Yes, indeed.
focusing on
That effort is on still, and it will bear
but
fruit. We are
focusing on
hoping.
the, yeah, primarily I would say focusing on the US Indians is a very
Yes.
important, or what is it called, Indian origin,
Yes.
origin of
Americans
Indians,
of
right?
Indian origin. Yes. Yes.
Americans
Yes.
of Indian
Yes.
origin, or whatever you call it, right? I wish you a very happy new year as well. Let it change the axis, and let us all hope that have some amount of understanding of the Chinese society. China is not Z. Let's be very clear about it. Thank you very much, Ayer. Thanks a lot to the
Thank
audience
you, sir,
also.
and wish you all a happy new year. Namaskaram.
Happy New Year. Thank you.